Check, check, 1, 2, next door yoga babe. Welcome back, my loves. And this week we're talking about feminine energy. So, I believe that feminine energy or femininity has been largely misdiagnosed. We think of feminine energy as dresses, makeup, flowers, ribbons, bows, all of those things, which do not get me wrong, huge fan. I do love them. But to me, it goes a lot deeper than that. Feminine energy is architecture, right? It's the foundation beneath quite literally everything else out there. And this goes beyond men, relationships, marriage, children, success. This is more of who are you when no one's watching, right? Can you create a space that you feel comfortable to be alone in? Can you nurture? Do you create peace? And of course, can you destroy something that no longer belongs? Because that's what feminine energy is all about, right? Create, nurture, and burn it to the ground in order to allow something healthier to grow. The Hindu traditions tell these stories very well, the goddesses specifically. Lakshmi is known as the goddess of abundance, prosperity, beauty. A lot of people think that abundance begins with money, but Lakshmi sets a good example that it actually begins with harmony. So, a beautiful home, generosity, order. And then we have Kali, right? She's known as the goddess of destruction, but she's not here to destroy your life. She's here to destroy your illusions, your ego, and whatever version of yourself is not going to serve the next version of you that is coming or maybe is standing in the way. The first rule of femininity is to know your worth and add taxes. Something that I've realized within the past is people who break their word to me no longer have access, not out of bitterness, but out of respect. I think that when someone can't even, keep their word to you whenever they could have just kept their mouth shut, how can you expect them to show up when something is meaningful or sacred to you? If someone can't honor something as simple as what they say, how could I trust them to honor something sacred? Our words do build kingdoms or they can destroy them. I love chess because I think it's one of the greatest metaphors for relationships. Everyone thinks that the king would be, the most important piece, but it is the queen. She's not protected because she's weak, right? She's protected because she's the strongest piece on the board. She is the one who's capable of changing the entire dynamic of the game. Real leadership does not diminish femininity, it actually recognizes it. If you look at nature, there is nothing passive about a mother lion. Observing, nurturing, protecting. The feminine protects fiercely. So, just that being said, I just want to say that love isn't weak. Femininity isn't weak. It's responsibility. I've been on a lot of first dates with, I would say, like egotistical men, maybe like the unhealed masculine that ask what you bring to the table. I like this question because it used to mean something different to me than it does now. I used to think achievements or maybe status or even just what you could really do for someone physically. But now I look at it as what energy and aura do you bring into a room? Can people exhale around you? Are you capable of creating a space where people feel taken care of and nurtured? So truly, can you host? Can you make somewhere feel like home? Masculine energy may build the house, but feminine energy is what makes it to where no one wants to leave. It makes it special. And it truly, within feminine energy, it only takes a few extra seconds to make something special. I learned that from my aunt's best friend growing up, Leanne. She is the best. I remember just like pancakes in the morning, even, or waffles or whatever. Like she would literally make a face or make like flowers or something out of the fruit and explained, like as a woman, it only takes a few extra seconds to make something so special like that. I will never forget it. That was one of my biggest lessons in life. And I'm so grateful for it because those details matter so much more than anyone could ever even pinpoint on the way that it made them feel. But the details are everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I did write this probably within like the past few years, but it really resonates heavily to this podcast specifically. And it's come full circle within my healing. I would say I wrote this around the time whenever I was figuring out what I didn't want. And now I am heavily tapping into what I do want. It's a completely different vibe and feeling. So, circling back to this, it still feels right in this moment. It just feels different from where I left it. So, I am a castle that I built by design, single handedly, brick by brick. I dug the moat and prayed for the rain to fill it, planted the garden that feeds my soul, connected to the roots of the earth. I cut down the trees, built the wooden drawbridge, only letting it down in special circumstance. I am my empire, my fortress. The harder I work to build, the less I want anyone touching what I've worked so hard to create. I am preparing my table for a king. I choose peace over potential. No one sits at the queen's table unless they're bringing something to it. And this poem isn't just about keeping people out, it's about keeping peace. And I truly used to wait on people hand and foot. Um, I loved people, but if I'm honest, sometimes I didn't even like them, which is crazy. I think I confused sacrifice with love. I stayed in relationships where I wasn't considered, friendships where I was valued based off of who I knew, doors I could open, or opportunities that I could connect to. And especially in South Florida. Eventually, I looked in the mirror and I just thought, I can't be this version of myself anymore. So I let her die. Not dramatically, but intentionally. And I would say a lot of grief comes from releasing people who are still alive, versions of yourself, versions of others. It's not an easy thing to do. In my healed state, I would say something huge that I've realized is that I do not want to possess anyone. I want to experience them. And that's so different. One is ownership, while the other is honesty, loyalty, communication, being a safe place. And I guess having that foundation to continue to come back to what's important. To me, that's intimacy. Being able to consider and come back home. People often ask why someone cheats or lies or strays, and I don't have the exact answer, but I would say it has a lot to do with purpose. When you don't know who you are, everything outside of yourself starts looking like the answer. Purpose creates direction, direction creates integrity, and integrity creates peace. It really is that simple. I have lost my faith in people, and I'm sure you have too. The funny thing is, someone can break your heart, and years later, someone else who had nothing to do with it can quietly restore your faith. My friends joke a lot that I'm a lover girl with a man hater complex, and I think it's so funny because it is true. I do not have any time or patience for disrespect. I will lay it all down for someone who consistently shows up and is a man of their word. I think that it is like the highest compliment to have a man hater, lover girl, fall for you, because like we want to love so bad, but it's just like we are so picky based off of what we deserve. And not only do we choose that for ourselves in life, we choose that for our partner, for our family. Like we're very, very careful for the things that we allow within our vortex. So I would say that's discernment, that's not bitterness. And there is a big difference there. One comes from a healthy place and one comes from a place of pain, of hurt. The goal isn't building higher walls, it's building stronger foundations, because when the foundation is strong, everything that's built on it has a chance to last. Maybe that's what femininity is. It's not softness, it's not perfection, and it's not performance. It's becoming a woman who creates beauty wherever she goes and protects it fiercely. Thanks for coming over, Next Door Yoga Babes. We'll see you next time.